What's going on, Bucs fans? Welcome to a very special edition of Pirate Parlay here on the Sick Podcast Network. I'm your host, JC Anna, as always, and we've got an amazing guest, a special guest. He is your head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll bring him on right after this.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Pirate Parlay.
Battle intercepted, picked off in the end zone. Bucs are going to beat the Chiefs. We're the champions of the world.
The sickest Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast. It's going to be sick.
Welcome back on the other side. Like I said, we've got an amazing guest today. I'm so excited to have him on. He is your head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, none other than Todd Bowles.
Morning, guys. How you doing?
Coach, how are you doing? How's everything going?
Everything's good. Just taking it easy right now.
Last couple days to do it before training camp kicks up and everything like that, for sure.
It's winding down.
Yeah.
Huh?
How's your offseason been? What have you been up to?
I've been rehabbing this needed. I got surgery on in May. It's been coming along pretty good, but mostly rehab and rest.
Yeah, that's always the way. So before we get into it, I wanted to, having you on is really awesome for me. So I wanted to kind of kick it off the same way you kick off a good win or a good experience for yourself. So I've got the blue bag Chips Ahoy right here. I know these are your favorite. So I know it's 9 o'clock in the morning, but I'm going to have one just for you in honor of you coming on. So
it's never a bad time to eat Chip Ahoys.
Thanks a lot, Coach. I really appreciate you coming on here. Let me finish chewing real quick, but I first want to talk to you about the culture you established here because, it seems like the chemistry in the locker room is at an all-time high right now. Just talking to the guys, I talked to a lot of the players and stuff like that outside of football, and everyone's saying, the chemistry, the camaraderie, everything is so strong right now with this team. Do you feel the culture is maybe the best it's been since you've been in Tampa? And how does it make you feel hearing that players are so excited to have this the chemistry and camaraderie in the locker room that they have right now?
I think the culture and camaraderie was good when we first got here as well, especially the second and third year. I think anytime you have turnover and you have basically a new team and a lot more younger guys coming in and you're getting to know them, I think it just speaks to the older guys embracing the younger guys and creating the culture and chemistry along with the coaching staff that makes it a good place to want to come to because it's almost like family. Everybody talks to each other. That means they'll talk out on the field and it'll help you get through some tough times and got us through some tough losses last year.
Right. And your coaching style is you hear Baker, who's on Part of My Take, and he's, talking about how even keeled you are and how rarely you snap or chew people out, or lose your cool. You have a lot of coaches who try that tough guy approach where, they're yelling at people and everything, but that's not your style. So how did you kind of develop your style of coaching that is effective without having to be super authoritative, yelling at and screaming at guys?
I mean, I get my point across. If you're at practice every day and you're out there, especially on the defensive side, you would understand and say, I would never shut up. But it's every player's coached differently. Some you have to yell at, some you can talk to, and you're trying to find what buttons to push all the time. I speak when necessary. I can yell when necessary, but you don't want to yell just to be yelling. I'm not going to yell and say, look at me, I'm coaching, I'm yelling. I'm going to yell. I'm going to have a reason to yell. And it all depends on who the player is and what happens. Now, if I tell you 100 times and I show you and we teach you as coaches and then you mess up, yeah, you're getting yelled at. But if you mess up and we haven't really taught you that, then I can't really say anything. But it varies. We have a bunch of yellers on our staff. So some of them kind of take care of that and it kind of takes care of itself. But we treat people like men here. We expect to give respect and get respect at the same time. And I think it's going over well with the guys.
Yeah, I mean, we know you're not one to shy away from a little trash talk. Jamel lets us know every time he's got a microphone. But, you talk to the guys, especially on the defensive side, even on the offensive side, they call you kind of one of the brightest defensive minds they've ever been around. And you kind of look at some of the game plans that you've done, KC, Philly last year. Obviously, there's so many more that come to mind, but can you just kind of describe your process when you're developing your new game plans versus opponents? Because I think that's one thing when everyone says Todd Bowles defense, it's going to be some exotic looks, some blitzes coming from different areas. So kind of like what goes into developing a game plan for you on a game week?
I mean, it starts in the spring. We do a lot of homework in the spring, especially when the schedule comes out and the first 3 opponents we're going to play. And the coaching staff is heavily involved. I mean, Coach Rogers, Coach Edwards, Coach Foote, Ross, Rapone, Tim Atkins, Rashard, all these guys and Fitz are all involved in this. And we brainstorm and you watch a lot of college tape, you watch a lot of NFL tape of other teams and try to see what fits your guys and then what gives the offense consternation and what gives them problems and does it fit into your scheme. And obviously you become predictable in this league. People take advantage of you. So we always try to show some wrinkles if they benefit us and kind of go from there. But it starts in the spring and it goes on all summer and it goes into the season.
Yeah, I mean, wrinkles. You had Kalijah Cansey, I think, as a stand-up linebacker last year. I was like, wait, what? I had to double take real quick there.
He might be our fastest one.
It's crazy. Some of the things where I have to like double check. I'm in the press box with my binoculars. I'm like, wait, can someone confirm that? Because I think I might be seeing some things. When you kind of look at what you guys want to do this offseason, I think depth was a big thing. You talked about it, Jason talked about it at the combine, but when you look at the roster this year, do you feel like you're in a better position now depth-wise than maybe years prior?
At certain spots, I think we have depth. I mean, I think the outside linebacker spot has depth. I think the offensive line has depth, and I think the running backs have some depth. And I think we're kind of got some depth at receiver. And other spots, we got to come on and still have some people come on and see what we got there. But I think we have some good experience and inexperience depth-wise for the younger guys. I mean, Tavier Thomas and Bryce Hall, and we got some guys that play some ball that can go in games as well, and that bodes well for us.
Yeah, you mentioned the secondary, and you kind of look at the additions there with Whitehead and Bryce and Tavier and even Tyke. How much more flexibility does that give you as a play caller to present like more exotic looks and coverage shells in the front 7?
Not yet. I mean, we're still in the process of getting the basics down to it. I know Tyke's played in a similar defense before, and Bryce is extremely intelligent. Jordan's been here, obviously. So from a safety standpoint, I feel like we got more pieces to move around, and I think we got some depth at the nickel spot that runs us pretty deep for the first time.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting battle. We'll get into that. Do you think we'll see some more 5-1-5s this year with all the depth you have in the secondary and obviously in that offensive line group?
No, we have some different looks. We got defensive linemen that can really play. We got some outside linebackers that's going to have to be on the field. So we got some guys, and depending on the game plan, we'll move some people around. But I think it's a little early to get into that.
Right. Yeah. So kind of let's get into camp. This time of year, obviously you have this lull in the NFL schedule. I'm sure they'll try to fill that soon with something, but you have this lull before training camp starts, and then it kind of gets closer and closer. What do you get most excited about? What do you look more forward to the most about camp coming back around?
Biggest thing for me in camp I get excited about is about bringing everybody together from a chemistry standpoint and the guys getting to know one another on and off the field. You get to spend a lot of time. The most time we get to spend around each other is in camp because they stay in the hotel and they come to practice every day and they at work every day and they're on top of each other. So the offensive guys and the defensive guys, you get to know people you're probably not that close with, and that helps a lot. I'm looking forward to that.
As far as rookies report Tuesday, vets Wednesday, have you had any conversations with Randy Gregory? Do you expect him to be there at camp?
We have not had any conversations. I expect him to be here, but we'll see.
And the same thing along the lines with Tristan. Obviously, he held in during OTA's minicamp. Do you expect him to be a full go? Do you expect that holding to kind of carry over into training camp?
I mean, I hope he's there and I hope he's practicing. I understand how the business goes. I've played, so I understand the player side. I understand the business side. And hopefully that situation will resolve itself sooner than later.
And then just a couple of injured guys, Keith, Zach Anixted. Do you think they're ready to go?
We'll see. Cole's making some strides. I'll see just to matter of fact how far he's come. You got to be in pads to hit somebody, but I'll wait until the trainer says he's ready to go.
All right, and let's get into some of these battles. You mentioned it that depth at the nickel spot with Izzian and with Tyke and with Tavier Thomas, kind of what are you hoping to see out of that to determine kind of who wins that battle coming out of camp? Obviously, Christian came out of nowhere last year.
Obviously, it's a tough spot to play. It's a key spot in our defense. It's one of the premier spots for us. All of them have played it. All of them have some experience to some degree, and it's going to be a battle. That's what camp is for. You want competition. It makes everybody better.
And then Ben Bredesen, Sua Opita. Obviously, hard to judge anything, right, in OTAs and minicamp without the pads on. Once those pads come on, what do you want to see out of those guys to kind of propel themselves forward?
Well, the biggest thing, we know they're both tough, but it's going to be a battle. For the offensive line, it's about all five of them playing together for the most part. Who can play together with the center and the tackle and the other guard and the other tackle on the offensive line? We know they both can battle. We know they're both tough, but you got to pick up the scheme and you got to have proper technique and footwork right there. And that battle is going to be something to watch.
As far as last year, you kind of went set into training camp with your top five on the offensive line. Do you expect to kind of pick someone fairly soon into training camp? Maybe like the first week after pads come on so you can develop that chemistry and continuity?
No, we don't have a timetable right now. We got more than just the first week. We're going to let it battle out. I mean, the first 3 days, you're not even in pads. You can't just pick somebody the first week. You got to go through some things first and see it. We'll have time to develop the chemistry.
And then wide receiver 3, I think that's highly contested. Obviously, Jalen McMillan hasn't done anything in NFL, but he's really kind of impressed throughout OTAs and minicamp. You got Trey, who looked like, he's looking to take that next step. What are you looking to see out of that battle when the pads come on?
It's going to be a good one because it's a new offense, obviously. So everybody's learning from scratch right there. So everybody's on even ground. I think McMillan's extremely talented. I've seen a lot of things that Trey did for us last year that he can expound on this year. And we got a bunch of other guys, Rock and everybody else coming in there that compete. So our receiver spot from a depth standpoint is going to be very competitive.
And then I think the other one you mentioned earlier, the depth at outside linebacker with obviously Joe Sharinka and Chris Braswell, the rookie coming in. You got Anthony Nelson, who's your steady Eddie, just is always in the right place at the right time, it seems. And obviously, potentially Randy Gregory. What do you want to see out of that battle? Marquise Watts too.
That's going to be a tough one. I think we got the most depth on the team right there at that spot. We got a lot of guys that can play and do a lot of different things. All of them physical, all of them tough. That's going to be probably the most battled one. I like to see some things from Jose, who's coming back off of a practice squad. And it's going to be a tough battle right there. It's going to be some tough decisions to make.
Now, as we move closer to training camp, you say, obviously new kickoff rules. You talked about starting in the spring, and I'm sure you watched XFL tape or your special, McGahee's watched that. But do you get like a clearer plan of how you want to construct the roster? Like, does it maybe behoove you to keep an extra, outside linebacker, inside linebacker, tight end this year with the way it's set up, whereas maybe you might not have last year?
I don't think we will know until we see what the other team deploys out there. If they put more speed out there, you want to keep your speed guys. If they put bigger linemen out there because they don't have to run as far, or if they put the middle guys like the tight ends and the backers out there, I think that'll be an ongoing thing throughout training camp and something we're going to have to see and keep an eye on.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a unique wrinkle to this year to roster construction because, you don't maybe necessarily need all those speedy guys. Maybe you need a bigger body who can get off blocks and shed blocks. So I'm excited to see that in training camp and excited to see kind of how that plays out. Want to switch over to the offensive side, the new offensive staff. Obviously, Liam Cohen brought in, but you also got a plethora of other coaches and Carberry, McClendon, wide receiver coach, offensive line coach, Peel. What have you seen out of those? What has impressed you about those guys and the way that they go about their business coaching?
All of them impressive, obviously led by Liam, highly intelligent coach. He's been around a while. He's seen some offenses. We have some new wrinkles we have in last year that we haven't had in the past. Very excited about that. Intelligent play caller, very aggressive in a smart way, understanding whether it's the run or the pass. He's very aggressive that way, and kind of the guys kind of follow suit with that. The old line between Carberry and Picucci, excellent teachers. They're grinders. They're excellent teachers. They work a lot on technique. It's good for him, the O-line, to hear a different voice after a couple years. I mean, they had about 5 years, those who were here, of the same voice. So it's a good, clean, fresh start for them. Peel has played the position at tight end. He's very knowledgeable of the position and all the nuances that can help the tight ends very well. And McClendon was an outstanding college coach and used to be a coordinator as well. A lot of pro receivers used to go for him in the offseason to help get in shape and train those guys. So I expect him to help Mike and Chris and everybody else a lot more. So the offensive staff is really, really exciting. They're really gelling together right now, and I'm happy to have them.
Yeah,
And
I'm excited.
Grizz, I forgot, the passing coordinator from Miami, has a bunch of fresh ideas so we don't stay stale, and he does a good job.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how everything plays out. I think when you look at the with the McVay offense, that tree that expands, it's crazy. And Cohen kind of just looking at what he did at Kentucky and look what he can do potentially here and what he did with the Rams. I think this collection of offensive coaches is going to be a lot of fun to watch to see what they put together. Speaking of the offense, last year you faced more third downs than most of the league. A lot of it was due to a low success rate on first down, with the runs and stuff like that. The team was also one of the heaviest running teams on first down. Would you like to see a little bit more passing on first down, so hopefully avoid as many third downs and maybe increase the team's first down productivity?
So whether it's run or pass, we want to get to third and manageable. I mean, we had a lot of third and longs last year. We really want to get to third and manageable. They're going to try to take away one thing or the other. We want to be balanced. We want to be balanced overall. But in saying that, you got to do whatever you have to do to win the ball games at the end of the day. If it causes for us to run, we'll run. If it causes for us to throw, we'll throw. But we'd like to see a little more balance if we could.
And with the running game, obviously that's a high point of contention. Finish last the last 2 years. What has you excited and feeling positive about the turnaround for the potential?
Well, just the new coaches in general, different scheme, different coaches, different way of teaching, on a different way of understanding things, and hopefully that gets us going in the run game.
Yeah. I think Rashad's ready to take the next step too. You saw he was there last year. I think it's going to be fun to watch him too in this new offense with this new scheme and coaching staff. What has Baker meant to this team, and kind of how can he elevate himself in the Bucs this year to an even higher level than last year?
Oh, Baker's been everything to this team. Just coming in the way he came in, being himself, very energetic, very professional, very competitive, very communicative off the field, sitting around the offensive and the defensive guys. The best way for Baker to help us this year. He knows he's not on a 1-year deal. He knows it's his team. Him to just run the offense and throw the ball where it needs to be thrown. Sometimes it's not the big play, it's the short play that can turn into a big play. Commanding the offense and getting the ball to the guys that can make plays is the best way he can help us, and I think he's on his way to that.
Yeah, last year, you saw him put his body on the line multiple times, probably much to your like, what are you doing? You look at that Minnesota game where he's truck sticking people over there. I think that's when the team really like rallied around him. But you mentioned it's not always a big throw, and last year he kind of struggled there uncharacteristically, because he's usually been a really good, successful passer targeting the deep ball. What would you say that aspect of his game needs to improve on this year? And maybe what else besides that?
I mean, he had a heck of a year last year. Obviously, every game wasn't a great game, but he played well overall. Just the command of the offense, getting us into the right play, seeing the defense and scanning the defense, getting us into the right play and taking over. Sometimes the quarterback's going to have to run to make a play. He has very good football savvy and understanding of the game. When he needs to make a play, he'll make a play. Hopefully, he slides a little more, but he's so competitive. He wants to take that extra step in there, and that's how he's always played the game, and he's been successful at it. So we're gonna go with that.
And the ability that I think, you hear Liam talk about the cans you guys are putting in, the ability to check into different things. I think that should help this offense move as well, and kind of take it to the next level as well.
Well, again, a new coaching staff, a lot of moving parts, and some new pieces on offense. It's got a gel in camp. It's going to take a couple weeks to get that going, but I think we're moving in the right direction.
Jumping back onto the defensive side, we brought up Marquise Watts a little bit, and Jose Ramirez. But what does Marquise need to do to earn more reps this year, and what does Jose need to do to make the team in a loaded outside linebacker room?
Well, both of them were new last year, so it's a complicated scheme to learn, especially at that outside backer position. We asked those guys to do so many things, and both of them are very talented. And I think with a year under their belt and more experience in the system, they'll play a lot more freer. And that's what I'm looking forward to seeing in training camp.
Moving into inside, you got Servassier Dennis, who was also a rookie last year. What is a plan to get him more involved in the defense this year? Is he in that competition with KJ Britt to kind of take over that spot that was left by Devin? What does that look like for him this training camp?
He's definitely in competition. I mean, it's KJ's our starter, obviously, but we look for Savasier to play quite a bit this year in a lot of packages that we have. He's a very talented player. When he got injured last year, he kind of fell behind after about 4 or 5 weeks, but he had a hell of a spring. We look forward to seeing him do a lot of blitzing and a lot of covering. He's very good in zone coverage, has a good feel for the game, so we look forward to him helping us.
Is it nice to have, obviously, Levante, you never play forever, please, right? But with Servassier kind of having some of the similar skill sets, to have him, the ability to have him learn behind a guy like Levante David and step in if needed. What does that mean for you to have that kind of, I don't want to say insurance policy or, plan for if Levante retires, but having a guy like that?
Well, you want to have a guy that can do a lot of things. Savasi obviously can, and won't ever say he's going to go down and get hurt. Levante will, but Savasi is a talent in his own right, and I think we have some packages for him that'll really show that talent. Anybody who plays behind Levante get a wealth of experience. I don't care what position you play. Everybody over there looks to him for leadership, looks for him for professionalism and how he prepares to play, and they follow suit. So, but with Savasi getting Levante and understanding how the game is played, I think it can only help him.
As far as some of the other young guys, kind of guys who are getting into stepping into premier roles, Yaya Diaby obviously took over halfway through last year. Kalijah Cansey had a heck of a season, even though he missed most of the first 4 weeks in all the training camp. And then Zion was pretty much a starter in his own right, but not officially a starter, kind of jumping in with other guys. What do you want to see out of these guys, for the first time heading into the more defined roles on the defense?
Well, like you said, Kalijah, especially late in the season when he got really healthy and started coming into his own, just looking forward to him mastering the defense and understanding when he can take advantage of situations, when he has a two-way go and what the linemen are trying to do to him. I thought he got very good at that. I think he'll be much better again this year. Yaya, just to continue to expand on what he's doing. He's played great for us. He's a lot more smarter in the system going into his second year, and we considered Zion a starter anyway. He started 9 games for us. He played a lot of positions for us. He loves to play. He's a very good technician. He's very quick twitch. His understanding of the game has grown expansively. He's an unbelievable football player, and I think a lot of people are going to get to see that this year.
Yeah, I spoke with him earlier in the offseason. He said the game's slowed down to where he's not relying on his speed. He's using it as a tool to help him break on balls and try to make plays. So definitely excited to see him take that next step this year. Hopefully come down with some more interceptions as well. Kind of in comparison, there's some guys with some things to prove. Obviously, Logan Hall coming into year 3, JTS coming into his 4th year, Joe Tranchenka, KJ Britt. What are you hoping, or what do you need to see out of them this training camp and this season?
I thought Logan had a very good season last year, especially toward the end. It's pretty hard when you're the 4 technique. You shouldn't expect to get 15 sacks and all that stuff. You do a lot of the dirty work and free up a lot of guys, and people don't understand that in our defense. Joe, because the double-digit sacks haven't been there, doesn't mean he's not a valuable piece for us. He's probably the only guy we have that can play all across the defensive line in every linebacker position. He does a lot of things. Sometimes he gets there and the ball's out real quick, and then there's a few times where he didn't finish on the play. But Joe is a very valuable piece for us. He's a very good football player. Looking forward to him helping us more this year. And KJ has been our unquestioned leader since the spring. He's very vocal. He has natural leadership qualities. He's a very good football player. Doesn't have the athletic ability Levante has, but not many people do. That does not mean he cannot play football. He's a heck of a football player. He's a natural leader. He's a very good thumper, and he's a very good communicator. So the communication on the field helps us a great deal. He's kind of my eyes and ears out there, and the more he knows, the more he communicates, the better we'll be.
Yeah, I had him on earlier. He's all business, man. He's just, I'm like, what do you like to do for fun? He's like, just like watch film. And train. I was like, but is there anything else you like to do? He goes,
Oh, he's a football
watch,
junkie now.
watch film and train. I was like, all right, perfect. I think you mentioned kind of Logan. He really did take that step, and I'm not comparing him to Richard Seymour, but I feel like that position in your defense is one of those that, like you said, does the dirty work. Doesn't, Richards was an amazing guy, to get those sacks, but traditionally that role, I feel like, is the guy that's not his job. His job is obviously you want to get pressures and sacks, but it's more to allow the playmakers and other guys to do stuff. And I think that kind of gets overlooked with him. I definitely saw last year, especially watching some of the tape, his run defense picked up, I think, towards the end of the season too. So excited to see his progression. And then with JTS, I mean, I get a lot of people kind of get down on him, but you got to make the most of your opportunities, and he'll be the first to say he needs to do a better job finishing and stuff like that. But his skill set as a coverage guy and a guy who can set the edge is really impressive if you watch it and you know what you're watching. Does his ability in those two areas maybe sometimes limit his pressures because he does those other things so well that maybe you want to get him after the quarterback, but he's got to drop into coverage for this situation, or kind of things that people might not see other than just kind of watching the stat line?
No, he gets many chances to rush the passer. I mean, sometimes he's at the 3 technique, sometimes he's on the nose, sometimes he's
Right.
at the 5, sometimes he's off the ball as a backer, sometimes he's at strong safety, sometimes he's at outside backer. But he gets a chance to rush the passer, and he gets a chance to do a lot of things that a lot of guys can't do because he's so athletic. He's a jack of all trades for us, and he's a very valuable piece.
With Nelly, he's been your steady Eddie guy. You've used him in a variety of roles. Again, I think you had him out as the off-ball linebacker with Clash Cansey last year in a certain package last year. Is there any consideration, because you have so much depth at outside linebacker, to kind of move him to that 5 tech or on the line a little bit more this year, just to kind of get him involved a little bit more because of the depth there that you have at the edge position?
Well, he plays on the line. He just plays defensive end and outside backer. Not big enough to go inside. He's not big enough to go inside. He's tough enough. He's not big enough to go inside on a full-time basis in the run game. So we kind of like him where he is.
Gotcha. And then kind of rounding this out a little bit. I just like players, coaches are always trying to get better at their craft. You never stop learning. When you stop learning, what's the point? But when you look back and assess yourself last season, were there any points of emphasis you want to improve coming into this year?
Always things you want to improve. Obviously, as a defensive coach, you always want to be better defensively. Big plays for the first time last year. We're not very good on third down, in my opinion, especially third and long. I think we got to get better in that category, and I got to help those guys get better in that category all our coaches overall. So that starts there, and for everybody to understand the defense, where we're coming from as coaches, is our big point this year. So when we're out there, we're all seeing the same thing and on the same page.
And you guys, I know y'all embrace the underdog role, but does it get laughable at this point? Like that people are just continuously disrespecting the team. Some of the players, Levante David, still is fighting to be known nationally. At this point, are you like, okay, what do we have to do for you guys to give us some credit? Even though I know you guys like that underdog role mentality.
Well, at this point, we as a group know how good we can be and know how good we are. So it really doesn't matter how bad you talk about us. You can only be right or wrong. If we do good, that ain't gonna keep them quiet till next year. If you do bad, they're gonna say we're right anyway. So we use it as fuel. We laugh, but we use it as fuel come game time, and we just carry on and keep doing what we're doing.
I got a couple of fun things and we'll get you out of here. Just kind of during the season, during the season is a grind for you, but even in the off season, when you're not coaching football, do you have any hobbies or anything that you're interested in that you like to do?
I wish I could have some hobbies, but watching TV and just listening to music and taking it easy and running behind my boys, that's about it.
It's awesome. So I'm gonna do some rapid fire questions for you here. Just kind of give you the answer. Are you a beach or a mountains guy?
Beach,
Favorite superhero, Marvel, DC?
Green Lantern.
Wow, that is an underrated one. No one said that one on the show. Green Lantern's awesome. I think they're making a new movie. Hopefully they don't screw it up this time. You're more of a city guy or a country guy?
Early in my life, I was a city guy. Now I'm a country guy.
Okay, you don't want the quiet. I'm there with you. Car or truck?
Truck.
Favorite, would you rather watch a movie or a TV series?
Movie.
Okay, jumping into favorites. What's your favorite movie?
Oof.
That's a tough one.
Godfather.
That's always a great one. Great answer. Did you see like the making of it, The Offer?
Yeah, I
think it
did.
was?
I
That
did.
was good. Who's your favorite artist, like musically?
Stevie Wonder.
That's great. Can't go wrong with him. What was your favorite sports team growing up?
Baseball, Yankees. Basketball, Knicks. Football was the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay. I'm a Red Sox fan, so we'll have to, talk about that at camp. Favorite place you ever visited?
London.
London's nice. Favorite food?
There's 3. It's pasta, there's fried shrimp, and there's a cheeseburger.
Oh yeah, can't go wrong with either of those ones. Have you tried? There's a Italian joint up in Lutz called Bellagio's.
I haven't been there.
That's a good one. They're like straight off the boat
Okay.
from Sicily. You can hear them like arguing in the back of the kitchens in like Italian. It's hilarious. But the food is phenomenal. They have like an Italian guitarist there in the week. It's really good. Favorite cereal?
Ooh, Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops are a good one. Another underrated one. My daughter's obsessed with them right now. Favorite game you've ever watched?
Favorite game I've ever watched?
Yeah, a game that you're like, oh my goodness, that game was crazy.
The Chargers and the Dolphins. I think the 34-31 overtime game, Kellen Winslow and all those guys. I think that was my favorite game.
Okay. What's your favorite color?
Brown.
What's your favorite TV show?
I'm a big crime drama guy, so NCIS Los Angeles, CSI, anything like that.
Okay, you got no shortage of those shows. They're out everywhere, and they never end too. I feel like they've been going on for like years and years and years now.
They have.
What's your favorite sports memory? Could be as a coach, could be as a player.
Ooh, my favorite sports memory was when I went to the Garden to see Patrick Ewing play.
Nice. Favorite dessert?
That's a tough one. Sweet potato pie or apple pie a la mode?
Not the Chips Ahoy. Both of them are great.
Well, that's a standard meal for me, so I don't put it in that category.
Favorite season of the year?
Summer.
I had Dave on last year. My favorite season. He's like, probably 2000. I'm like, Dave, season of the year, not season of your life. Who's your favorite player growing up?
Chuck Foreman, Minnesota Vikings.
Favorite game you played in / favorite game you've coached?
Favorite game I played in was the Super Bowl when I was with the Redskins. Favorite game I coached? Favorite game I coached? Arizona when we played Carolina when I was with the Cardinals.
Why was that special for you?
I think we had a bunch of turnovers and a bunch of sacks, and the defense played probably closer to the vest than I've seen in a long time. They did a heck of a job.
Nice. Look, Coach, that's all I have for you. I'm so appreciative of you popping on today. Did you have anything to promote, anything like that? Any message to the Bucs Nation out there? Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Come on out to training camp. Have a great time. Don't believe the naysayers. We'll show up this year. We'll be tough. We'll play hard, and we'll make you proud.
Awesome. Coach, thank you so much for your time. I'll see you next week. Enjoy the rest of your time off, and Have some Chips Ahoy.
You got it. Thanks.
There you guys have it. Coach Todd Bowles of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Appreciative of his time here. We've got another special guest coming up on tomorrow's show as well. So make sure you stay tuned. We'll get this out. We'll give you a little preview. We're getting Liam Cohen on. We attack defense. Now we're going to attack offense, kind of get those on and get their opinion before training camp. So super excited about that. Thank you again to Coach Bowles. That's going to do it for us for here at Pirate Parlay on the Sick Podcast Network. I'm your host, JC Allen. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Pirate Parlay on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.